these applying and implementing these terms that it does to Gaza. So we have to like look at every angle, not just they could have been like Russia, they could have been like any other nation. And then you said that you're questioning the 40,000 people, and you're saying that's Hamas. That's not Hamas. That's the Ministry of Health, and it's independent and is actually watched by many other organizations, international, unbiased, neutral organizations. So these are not Hamas. These numbers are not coming from Hamas. That's false.
It's not false. It is Hamas, but that's something that I think, I don't know, listeners could perhaps. I mean, you and I are not going to settle this on stage unless we start penning documents. But the point is, if you're asking, okay, back to your original point about ethical behavior. I mean, I'll give you some, because we're drifting off course here. Let me try to answer your question more directly. So, Israel is more likely to try to achieve ceasefires than many other militaries of its proportionate size and power. They do things like roof knocking and leaflet dropping. They do prisoner swaps, right? So and also they essentially tolerate the existence of a group of terrorists whose sworn purpose in life is the elimination of every single person in Israel. Like, there's many nations that on those grounds alone would just launch an all-out. Right? So any of these things, right? And I did say there are certain ways in which, like, for instance, I don't know if you were listening, but earlier I was saying that, like, there are actually some ways in which many people may not be aware, but like in which the American military actually excels beyond Israel in terms of like ethical standards. And I think some of those things we saw in this war, we've seen things that when I speak to some of the military people that I know, Americans, they'll say, well, the U.S. Army would have done it like this, and that would have saved a lot of lives in this situation, right? And Israel's not doing it that way, but there's reasons for that. I can explain more deeply if you'd like me to, but I think I'll stop there. I don't want to talk.
So when you said the idea of tolerates, or Israel tolerates, the state of Israel tolerates Hamas, that's an overstatement. Like, you realize that, and you might differ with that, but I can prove you with facts. 2021, the battle of 2021, or the war of 2021 was started by the IDF, was initiated by the IDF. The war of 2014 was initiated by the IDF. 12 was initiated by the IDF.
This isn't what I meant. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't mean.
So they're not tolerating. They're always trying to. It's not a secret that they're trying to destroy Hamas. So I don't know why you say that.
I say that because for one thing, if anything, I think the counter argument that to steelman your position, the counter argument should not be, oh, they've been trying but failing to defeat Hamas. That's kind of a silly point. If they really truly wanted to destroy Hamas, they could just nuke all of Gaza right tomorrow and then deal with the international outrage tomorrow. The point is, they don't try. Let me finish. They don't actively try. They don't throw 100% at Hamas to destroy them. Instead, they tolerate them. They allow them to exist. Now, I think that a steelman counterpoint to what I'm saying is not, oh, they're trying, but they just can't, because Hamas is just so strong. That's silly. Instead, I think it's better to argue, well, what about the idea that maybe Israel has actually propped up Hamas to have to sort of create something to fight against, in a sense, rather than Netanyahu having supported, and that, I think that is a stronger counterpoint if I were in your shoes.
Okay, that's just because you're going into like conspiracy theories when you say that, so we're not going there. But so it's true, like practically the IDF can destroy Gaza by dropping a nuclear bomb, but that's obviously, you know this, I know this, that's not a political option. The Israel doesn't have this political option because we have an international community, we have other foreign countries that will not allow this. But yes, the IDF, they are unable to destroy Hamas. And this has been proven in many years, in many wars before this. They cannot destroy Hamas. And this is not because Hamas are strong. It's just because Hamas is they have the war mindset. They have the lead when it comes to the morale. It's their land. They're attached to the land, and they have this spiritual attachment. So and also you have to put in account the tunnels and the guerrilla combating that Hamas does. So you cannot. I don't care how advanced your army is, you'll never be able to distract Hamas.
Hey, Traveler, do you mind if I engage a little bit here? So my question would be, if come when Donald Trump goes into office and the American hostages aren't released, and or if Hamas starts attacking again, if the United States gets involved and they start using bunker busters and they start carpet bombing Gaza and they eliminate the 2 million people in Gaza, then does Hamas exist anymore?
Well, I don't think that will happen to begin with.
Hypothetical.
First, we have to.
Hypothetical. What would you say?
Yeah, but also you have to put in account that the reason why Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, agreed to the ceasefire is because of Trump. And that's
have you been near a Moab when it goes?
No, but that's obvious. Like any political analyst will tell you that. Like it was kind of Trump kind of pressured on Netanyahu because it's the same deal that was made by Biden in May. So it was the same.
I'm just kidding. I'm asking you a simple question, like in this
hypothetical.
So
your question. So can you?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if the hostages aren't released, and or if Hamas starts attacking during the ceasefire, and Trump's in office, and the United States, for this hypothetical, were to go over there and just release 9 kinds of hell on Gaza, and they start carpet bombing, which the main reason that Israel doesn't is, it looks bad when you start carpet bombing, and then also Israel doesn't have as many planes for specifically carpet bombing. But the United States definitely does. But if the United States were to go over and start carpet bombing Gaza and start hitting it with Moab's mother of all bombs, bunker busters, do you think if they eliminated the 2 million people that are in Gaza, would Hamas still exist? In Gaza.
Obviously not.
There you go. So that's how the war ends. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, the United States doesn't mind the genocide, being attached to us, so we're good with that.
That's not true. That's not true. The U.S. is not complicit.
I mean, we killed over 1 million Iraqis,
He's not saying that he thinks that that the United States is complicit in the alleged genocide that Israel is perpetuating, which, by the way, is not genocide. Yeah. He's saying that the United States doesn't feel the same guilt if we go out there and slaughter our enemies. America is actually a very violent culture. Listen to our music, look at our movies. I mean, we celebrate it. We sort of like the ancient Romans with the Colosseum. We're like, yeah, give me another Marvel movie. But the Israeli culture is not that. It's very different. I mean, it's important to understand that their military follows the culture. And American military is very pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, because David, when we're flying over with our carpet bombing, we're playing, let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. So just to clarify, I'm not saying the U.S. are innocent. Obviously, they have history of pure evil. I'm not saying that, but you have to put in account other players in the region. You have to put
that they won't.
China, Russia. No, but the thing is, the U.S. is smart. It's not like, let's go.
I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to start carpet bombing, but they definitely will engage in this warfare. And I don't know if you've ever met like operators and stuff for like U.S. Armed Forces, but they can wreak havoc. IDF is definitely good, but when you've got 100,000 more U.S. soldiers on the ground in Gaza,
just ask yourself. I was going to say, just to add on, somewhat jokingly, but somewhat serious to that point that you were making, like, Israel doesn't have a Rambo. If you think about it, like the iconography, like the cultural sort of like avatar of the warrior in America, like there's a time in which that was like Rambo or something, or Schwarzenegger in like Predator or something like that. That people, I grew up watching those movies thinking like that's what it's like to be in the military or something. The Israeli equivalent would be like what? Like what's his name, Mayor Benzion, or what's his name? I'm forgetting. But like, and that was like a real life dude, and he wasn't like a Rambo psychopathic slaughtering. He was just like a very heroic special ops person. Like there is no analog in Israeli culture. Please, someone correct me if I'm wrong. There isn't a Rambo type like that's not an Israeli thing. But that is how people. That's how Palestinians. Like the biggest. I think the biggest. I think like the biggest misconception or the biggest thing that most of the world likes to look at. They like to say, "Look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan, look at Syria." And it's like they're like, "Yeah, they didn't even win the war there." And it's like, who's to say we wanted to win the war? Like, we destabilized those three countries. We toppled Saddam. We toppled Damascus. We toppled Afghanistan. And we also left them with enough munitions to fight off the Chinese and the Russians, and we trained up their military. I mean, there's a reason that we were in these three places. We weren't in there to win the war. They're proxy wars, that we were fighting. And we were engaging in warfare where we're training their soldiers to fight against, do what we want. I mean, like Bashar al-Assad, when the CIA goes in there, it's just, let's go ahead and get him. And then his ass dips out, like a lot of this shit's a lot of
I think we
I do like that people are really speaking to your question here. And I think it's a much simpler question. Israel is not does not do everything ethically. Okay, they even make any mistakes. One problem Israel has is they have a conscript army. A large part of their army is not professional soldiers, and so there has been unprofessional behavior, destruction of Palestinian shops, destruction of Palestinian homes. That was gratuitous and wrong. There have been some criticisms from U.S. about certain operations. But I don't think any of this means that Israel is really an unethical arm. Okay, they are doing, I'm going to finish up here. Okay. They do a lot of things that are clearly intended to reduce civilian casualties. Like they do the roof knocking. They make a point of calling people in buildings before they attack them, and so on. So I think if you look at what urban combat generally looks like, it's very destructive. Generally, once a city is part of a war zone, that city gets completely destroyed, and that happens whether it's the Israelis doing it or the U.S. or the Russians. And so I don't think, to come all the way back to when you started, you can look at pictures of Gaza today and say, how are they ethical? I mean, that's what urban warfare looks like.
Okay, so you see, the problem is with these arguments that I hear a lot is, and it's a logical fallacy. I forgot the term name of this fallacy, but basically it's like we could have killed 100% of the people, but we only killed 50%. And you're just appealing that, we could have done this, but we did this, and this is like a way to show that, we didn't, it's not that bad, it's not. But no, forget about what potentially could have happened. Think about what is happening in reality. It is bad in and of itself. Like, you cannot deny that. The fact is, it's not like, it's from the top bottom. It's not bottom up. It's not like, they're not like small mistakes from a couple of soldiers or generals. No, there are. It's like, it's the policy. It's the foreign policy of the IDF. It's coming from the top bottom, because who decides the airstrikes and all of that? The bank of targets. The IDF clearly doesn't have any targets. They don't know where Hamas is, so they just randomly attack places, and this has been shown many times.
Well, Traveler, if that's true, that's unethical. My understanding is that that's not the case. If the facts change, I change my mind. My understanding is that in Gaza, as in many cities, there are a lot of military targets mixed in, in the buildings, basically. And that's why all buildings get destroyed in urban warfare, because the forces that are advancing or the forces that are attacking occupy and use the buildings. And so then those buildings get destroyed.
Yeah, and then like we hear 100 people, 100 innocent people died, and we don't hear any Hamas members dying. So I don't know, like how are we supposed to? And are you trying to convince me that 80% of the buildings are by Hamas? Like they literally look at the buildings that they destroyed. Like it's obviously not all by Hamas. Like unless you're saying Hamas is in every building. Then why can't you just go on ground? Why do you have to?
But traveler, why does this happen in urban warfare elsewhere? I mean, what you're talking about is not. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Because in urban warfare, first of all, the forces are moving around. So yes, all the buildings at some time probably had Hamas retreating through them. Okay, and then if Hamas advances, then they temporarily occupy a building. And for that time, yeah, if you figure out they're in there, then they are a target for the IDF, and the IDF should blow up that building. Okay, that's to accomplish their mission. And what you see more generally is that urban warfare results in a very large proportion of the city being destroyed, not because all the buildings were built by the military of one or the other country, but because in urban warfare that is effectively terrain.
Okay.
And it's terrain that is fought very slowly. It's fought over very slowly, so it gets destroyed in detail.
Okay, Jason, you're missing a very important point. An urban combat or an urban warfare is usually on ground and is helped or is supported by airstrikes, not the other way around. What was happening in Gaza, it was the other way around. It was airstrikes, and then sometimes they would go like a little bit on ground, and then they would just retreat and then go, and then like it was a joke. It was just airstrikes. The 90% of the war from the IDF was, or maybe 80% was airstrikes. And this is not how you do. Like you can, the IDF has supposedly the best intelligence when it comes to wars and all of that. Like intel. Why can't you go on ground and locate these buildings and then you're according to you guys, you're fighting very weak people, right? The Hamas, they're weak. They're not strong. They don't have the military. They don't have the weaponry. They don't have the intelligence that you have. They literally just manufacture their own weapons. So why can't you just go on ground and fight face to face? Why do you have to like
when you say you, like who do you think I am?
Sorry, I don't mean you. I mean like I'm talking to the idea.
Okay.
I was just getting excited. I don't mean you personally. I don't know.
Okay. So look, first of all, urban warfare frequently is accomplished by destroying buildings, not by going into buildings. Most of the casualties in urban warfare historically are due to artillery. They aren't due to people shooting each other. So what that's telling you is the way the urban warfare goes, is people get into the buildings, they look for the bad guys, and then they say, hey, artillery, blow up this building, blow up this parking lot, okay? And that's how war has worked at many levels ever since the introduction of massed artillery, really since World War I. So the artillery was a bigger factor before. Yeah, now airstrikes matter a lot. You didn't have airstrikes so effectively in whatever World War I, whatever. So I don't think you really have the facts straight there. And going into buildings, raiding buildings is extremely dangerous. And even if you have a really big army, the kind of special forces that are effective at doing that, you generally don't have very many of those, right? So the U.S. could not, like if the U.S. wanted right now to set up enough entry teams to just do house-to-house fighting without doing bombardment, we don't have enough people to do that in Gaza.
We literally don't have enough entry teams to do it. And Israel has a much smaller military than the U.S. and also much less professional military. It's mostly made up of conscripts. So they have even fewer entry teams than the U.S. So I think your vision of like how urban warfare works is like, you know, how a special forces team does urban warfare. It's not how a large army does urban warfare.
Okay, so according to you, just for me to make sure I understand what you're saying, so you're saying that they will identify the buildings where the combats are in, and how do they identify these buildings?
You're saying, how do you identify buildings where enemies are located?
Yes.
You identify it with suspicious activity. You identify it with enemy fires, if fires appear to be emanating from the buildings. You may identify it if there are enemy vehicles or something, you know, indicative of enemy presence around the building. It is, you know, that's very much up in the air kind of thing. I mean, if you see the enemy in the building, that's pretty clear. But I mean, yeah, what do you want me to say, Traveler?
No, I agree. So do you think the case was in Gaza where they actually, I'm not saying every time, obviously there were cases where they did, but the norm that they always saw enemies in the building and then they strike the building?
My understanding is that they generally have targeting, you know, something that ties the enemy to the building before they strike. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to just like run out of bombs, right? If you're just bombing everything.
They don't have run out.
So, no, they've had significant supply problems with bombs. They also have significant.
That was backed up quickly, like.
No, it wasn't backed up quickly. It's still a problem for Israel. And artillery shells are also a real problem for Israel. So you don't have infinite bombs. And so, yeah, they got to have targeting. They got to be able to choose. They have only so many bombs they can use today. And they got to choose where they go.
I was following on and off the situation in Gaza the whole time. They never ever went out of bombs. They did ask the U.S. to back them up with some weaponry at some point, but they never actually ran out of bombs.
No, Traveler, you're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying they don't have infinite bombs. If they were doing listen to what I'm saying. If they were doing what you're talking about, they would run out of bombs. If they didn't have targeting and they were just like bombing everything, they would run out. Okay, and that is because they didn't do what you're talking about. But what you're talking about makes no sense.
Okay, they did. They literally were striking a lot of buildings. Like, that's why I want you to compare and contrast. Compare before October 7th and now. They literally, like, if you just follow the daily news, what they bombed and what they striked, they were actually striking with no, they were actually being generous with their strikes. They were not holding back. And that's obvious.
Well, you're saying it's obvious, but I'm saying that's not obvious. That's not supported by any of the coverage I've seen about how they do stuff. Israel actually puts a lot of effort into targeting.
Was there a day without an airstrike?
That doesn't mean anything, Traveler. That's like, what you're really asking me is, was there a day without a target? And of course, there's not. In any urban war, there's not a day without a target.
Seriously, like, do you realize like the reality in Gaza? Like, Hamas are in tunnels, and buildings are very it's not scattered out. Like, it's really dense. It's a dense city. So you're saying that there are always targets. There are like
unless the enemy is not resisting that day.
Yeah, but mind you,
if you're saying the enemy was not resisting that day at all, then there would be no targets that day.
No, but mind you,
but I do not think. Look, Traveler, I'm trying to explain why what you're saying is dumb. I don't think there's a single day in urban combat anywhere where the enemy does not resist. Okay, where the enemy is not fighting back, where there's no fighting. Yeah. And since there is fighting, then yes, there are targets that day.
No, you're
yes,
missing
there will
the
be
point.
airstrikes.
I'm referring to airstrikes to houses and buildings. I'm not referring to airstrikes to like on ground, to Hamas members, to tunnels, to open fields. I'm not referring to
in
that.
urban combat. In urban combat, Traveler, the enemy is not in the field.
Oh, okay, but these
Okay,
the reality
the
is
enemy
these houses and
facilities
buildings
are
full of
not.
civilians.
The enemy is not in the field, so they are in buildings.
Okay, let's go.
All right,
Let's go into more detail. In the end of the
well, I think we have to get something settled here. All right,
I just want to say
we're talking about. Well, I want to make some points here. All right.
Okay.
So we're talking about urban warfare. Number one. So that means, yeah, every day buildings are getting destroyed. Civilian buildings are getting destroyed. Okay, I don't need to be convinced or whatever, or have a good reason to believe something like that. All right, that is what it looks like whenever it happens all over the world. And we're talking about an active conflict. So every wing, every branch of the Israeli army is trying, the Israeli military is trying to participate in that conflict every single day. And certainly when the U.S. has run, big urban assaults or whatever, yeah, there's airstrikes every day. There's artillery strikes every day. There's all kinds of strikes every day. So none of these things that you've presented so far seem out of line. Okay, it's not out of line that stop what you're doing, Trev. It's not out of line that buildings are being destroyed every day. It's not out of line that there are airstrikes.
Okay, I understand your point, but let's go into more detail. So you realize that in the end of the last probably 5-6 months, the North was literally people in the North just migrated south, and the North was kind of abandoned by people. And then it was as you said, the urban combat style by Hamas and the IDF. And then so a lot of Hamas members were in the north. For some reason, the IDF was still striking the south and was still striking places that they deemed to be safe. So the IDF would every now and then they would announce safe havens for civilians. The people would migrate there, and then the IDF will strike that place. They did that many times, and you can see reports from neutral organizations, from humanitarian organizations. They did that many times. I don't know how you explain that. How can you explain that? We found a Hamas person there. We have to strike now and kill 100 innocent people with just one Hamas member. That's how we justify it. The IDF deemed that place to be safe, and then you strike it, and then you have empty, abandoned places. Like you can go to buildings, you can find the Hamas members face to face, or in the tunnels. But you just leave that, and then, or to be fair, you just simultaneously fight that, and then also strike random places. It doesn't make sense.
That's a really, I don't know. I mean, they deem it to be safe. Well, maybe they were wrong. Maybe it's not safe.
It's basically, it's a safe area for the Palestinians to go and be safe. But if then Hamas goes there and is setting up rockets or orchestrating their future attacks and shit, and IDF finds out, then of course they're going to attack. It sucks that there's people there, but at the same time, they're not going to allow these terrorists to keep trying to kill fucking Jews.
Well, okay, so what you're saying has no evidence, but it's like it could be the case. That could be the case.
I mean, you don't have the evidence of the idea. You don't have all the information, the data.
We both don't have the evidence. That's what I'm saying. We both don't have the evidence. That's why I'm just throwing.
I mean, I'm guessing the simple Google search will come up with the IDF stating why they attacked southern Gaza. at that time in the safe area for the people.
Yeah,
Because there was Hamas fighters there, hiding amongst people and getting ready to fucking attack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, I don't know, you don't know, so the idea.
Oh yeah, so I don't know, so I'll do a simple Google search and I guarantee I'll find it. Okay,
but that's not the point. No,
so it's not the point if I just find the idea claiming if there was possible.
Let me just say one thing. Let me explain. I'm saying that let's examine this. Even if that's the case, I'll give it to you. That's the case. So the Hamas members, they because they're so evil, they don't care about their people, so they'll just go to these safe havens, and then they'll set up the rockets as if you can just like easily carry these rockets and go to these safe havens. So they'll go there, and then underground tunnels. Okay, easily. You think it's easy to do that?
So they do this, and then people get killed, and then Hollywood propagandists come on here, you Nazi propagandists come on here and talk about how bad the IDF is, that they succeeded. They get more support from people like you coming on here going, oh, you get rock, you the big ones and real good. And the Hamas fighters, it's out in the same area.
Do you think it's more for the idea to strike a safe haven or a safe space that they deem to be safe? And they do
some outsiders, yeah.
Okay. So basically, let's kill 100 innocent people just to kill like 5.
Yeah, I mean, you would do the same thing if you were in their shoes.
You're just assuming that. So
wait, so if the Jews on the other foot, and the Jews were down in southern Gaza, and their IDF was setting up rockets, or they were about to hide amongst the people and shit, you're saying you don't think Hamas would send rockets in there to fucking kill the IDF?
If Hamas has the intelligence,
if we roll reverse switch everything. Hamas is in Israel, they have all the rockets and shit. And then IDF are sitting there hiding amongst the Jews, and they're setting up rockets, and they don't give a shit about the population because they want to fucking feed propaganda, and they want to win the war, they want to win the hearts of the fucking Arabs around the world, and the fucking leftists. So do you think that comes within send a rocket into a populated area?
I'll probably say something you don't like, but Hamas is brought by Islamic
Oh my God, you're fucking ridiculous. No, it's just so fallacious. It's fucking like borderline.
So how do you explain Hamas caring about their hostages and even the witnesses of the Israeli hostages?
Because they want sympathy. Yeah, you asked the question. They want sympathy. Yes, they want sympathy fucks. And the majority of the people that were there at that at that freaking event were pro-Palestinian freaking
Israeli.
Yes, you realize that a lot of the majority of Israel supports the Palestinian plight prior to October 7th. Oh my God, do you understand the percentage of Israelis that are secular, progressive, that are atheist and agnostic, that are, left-leaning?
So just because you're atheist, you don't use hope?
No, I mean, they're progressives. They're the ones saying, oh, the IDF is wrong, and we shouldn't be doing this, and we need two-state solution. I mean, I could literally show you like hundreds of videos prior to October 7th. Hold on. I can show you hundreds of videos online from before October 7th, where they walk around in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and they ask Jews, Israelis, they say, hey, what do you think about the situation in Gaza or West Bank? And they're like, oh, we think there should be a two-state solution. And our neighbors, and we love them. And then they go to the West Bank and they ask me, what do you think about the Israelis? And they're like, yeah, they should all be killed.
Okay, so two-state solution does not mean that you support October 7th. I never met an Israeli, be it left wing, be it right wing, be it atheist, be it Jew, supporting October 7th. I never saw that.
Wait, what?
Show me. No, they will actually cancel.
I didn't say that they supported October 7th. I said prior to October 7th, they were supporting the Palestinians, the majority of the Israeli population. So when you went in and raped and murdered and fucking slaughtered people and burned them in their fucking cars and in their bedrooms and shit and shot their fucking dogs, they said, you know what, enough is enough, fuck these people. And I literally said this to El Norbo when I came in the room. I said, it's amazing the progress El Norbo has made since October 7th, because he was one of these leftists that were in here going, oh, not too much on the Muslims and the Palestinians. They're nice people and blah, blah, blah. And after he watched, fucking over 1,000 fucking Israelis be fucking slaughtered and murdered and burned alive and shit. He's like, fuck the Palestinians. Let's fucking heart bomb these motherfuckers, which anybody could want to do.
Yeah, basically like kill everyone.
Like you guys want to do. You fuck with us and you're gonna get what you got, and that's fine. You can say the same. You can say that, well, the shoes on the other foot, and we feel the same way. That's fine. But we have the weapons, and we're going to fucking win. If you guys are fucking decimated, 80% fucking depleted, decimated of your munitions, you guys are going to lose. So, I mean, but Allahu Alam.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work through what you said a few minutes ago when you used Hamas and morals in the same sentence. I'm not over that. I cannot get past that. I cannot get past that. I cannot get past that. I can't get past it.
An Israeli woman praising praising Hamas, praising how they, and on the other hand, raping the idea of raping Palestinians. Do you see how much
again, you're doing it again. I'm not being able to get past what you just said either. Because again, you're saying Hamas and morals. That's basically you're repeating yourself.
Yes, show.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Okay, you're just laughing.
Are you kidding?
Can you argue?
Have you ever heard? Excuse me. Have you ever heard any testimonies from the hospital?
Yes.
What was done to them? Have you bothered?
Linda, I have a quick question. How many Jews do you know personally that were pro-Palestinians, but anti-Hamas, but pro-Palestinians and support the Palestinians and the Muslims in Gaza and West Bank prior to October 7th? And then after October 7th, they're like, man.
Well, that happened actually. You're right.
That's not
and that happened again, sir. Excuse me. He asked me a question. So that happened actually to so many people in the area. Exactly what you're saying. They were all for the two-state solution. They were bringing Gazans over to help them with medical care and school care, et cetera, and they were the ones that got slaughtered. So they quickly changed their minds. So that's the answer to your question. And I had to refer to you.
Rich.
Just Rich. Okay, I wish you wrote that in because I'm going to forget. But okay. And Traveler, when you're saying, then you need to hear hostage testimonies again and again, or you know what you can do? You can watch the videos. The Hamas themselves shot on October 7th themselves. You can sit and watch those videos for 24 hours straight. All by yourself. They're online. They're online. Excuse me?
What did they shoot?
They're shot video, Traveler. They shot video means they took video.
Oh yeah, they took the video when they went in.
Yes.
Not when in.
So that's what Linda is referring to. That's what Linda is referring to.
They came back basically.
That's what Linda is referring to.
So when the IDF goes in Gaza, it's fine.
So Hamas invaded Israel on October 7th. Why?
Okay, why did the IDF?
No. One question at a time. No. We're doing one question. We're doing one question at a time.
No, okay.
So why did Hamas invade? I'm going to repeat it slowly for you, extremely slowly. Why did Hamas invade Israel on October 7th?
Unfortunately, history does not start on October 7th.
No, that didn't answer the question, did it?
Yeah, we can answer. We can talk about Traveler.
So, Traveler, you have to be able to justify your military action on its own terms. Every military action has to be justified. You can't just say, well, history didn't start, whatever. That doesn't explain why this particular military action is justified. So we do have to ask, why did they do it, and is that justified?
Yeah, Jason, context is very important. When the IDF attacks in 2014, they will always justify history. History is always between both sides is always mentioned. So it's not fair for you to say, let's just discuss post October 7th. No, we have to discuss.
Traveler, of course, obviously, anything that was done on October 7th has something to do with what occurred before. But you still have to be able to offer a justification of some kind for your military action. It can't just be like, well, something happened in is one of these, you can't just, like, vengeance is not a just basis.
Yeah, but here's the thing, real quick, Traveler. You could justify this, and I might even agree with you, had they just attacked military installations. If they went over and started attacking IDF soldiers, and that's all they did, and they didn't go through and burn people alive in their houses, like women and children, and shoot
That's not
dogs.
true.
There's plenty of videos of it, brother. You can lie all you want about it. There's like videos of it lying and bragging about it. They're all over the internet. They were up live streaming shit all over the internet. The reality is, had they not done that, I could probably be like, you know what? I get what he's saying. It's military, infrastructure that they attacked, personnel, and that makes sense. It's a war. But when they go through and burn people alive in their houses and shit, and then capture them, would you agree that they captured women and children were citizens? The three people who were there were from the kibbutz. They weren't even at the friggin' event. They were just like in their houses and shit. And the reality is they captured people in there. They captured people in their homes. They didn't just attack military. And had they done that, you would have had a totally different reaction from the Israelis, from the citizens who would have said, hey, we understand it's a war, but once you start murdering and raping and fucking burning people alive, the gloves come on.
Okay, so Rich, this idea that in the beginning of the war, the media was talking about Hamas allegedly raping children and women, murdering children and raping women. This was debunked by the White House, not.
No, you're right. It was not debunked.
It was.
Hold on.
The
UN, even, when was it? Almost a half a year later after it, they actually, what's the word I'm looking for? They acknowledged that did happen. The UN acknowledged that did happen.
Okay.
Half a year after October 7th.
Okay, prove it. Send it.
No, you go look for it. Do your own.
Yeah, listen, if you're traveler, again, I'm not here to educate you. I'm not your dad here.
Traveler, who killed 1,200 people?
Yeah, look, Traveler.
Okay,
Who killed 1,200 people?
Traveler, it's generally accepted.
It's generally accepted. Yeah, I'm interrupting you. Okay, it's generally accepted that these things occurred. Stop resisting. Stop talking while I'm talking, Traveler. Okay. So it's generally accepted that these things occurred. There are plenty of sources that will show you it happened. You want us to believe it didn't happen. Okay, but it's going to be very hard for us to believe anything you base on that. All right? This is not a good way to build a chain of reasoning because your premises, they don't make sense to us. Okay?
Jason, I will be fair.
Here, there's the article. You wanted the article? I got you the article. Okay.
Yeah, please send me a second.
You can mic up and read about it and think about what you do.
Okay, I will.
No, but yeah.
Wait, one second. Oh my God, Jason, please let me. So I'll be honest and I will be fair. So what happened? But please don't interrupt me. Let me finish. I know you guys you're not used to hearing this, but let's hear it. So they didn't rape.
They burned them alive. There's a difference. Okay. Is there a difference between burning alive children with tires?
So you're very triggered.
Oh.
Or
So is there a difference to burn children alive or rape them? Throwing tires on top of the house, like filling the house with tires and lighting up the house with children inside of it.
No, Rafi, again, he didn't answer my question. Who killed 1,200 people?
Yeah, I was about to.
Yes. Can you please answer that question?
Civilians, not militants, civilians.
Yeah, civilians, yes.
Not militants.
Okay, yes. Can I answer?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you keep muting me, so I don't know how you're asking a question and muting me.
If people are muting him, it's not good. We'll yell at the answers.
Nobody's muting him.
I swear someone's muting me, but now no one is muting me. So let me attempt to explain my point. So
You need to justify the rape and the murder of children that you're trying to do.
Okay.
Wait, or worse.
That's what you think.
That's the
That's
line.
what- No problem.
He's not answering. He just like trying to like ignore the question.
Okay, if you allow me to answer, I will.
You look at him and you're just not saying anything.
Okay. I'm about to say something, but can you give me the chance to speak? So on October 7th, they did not. But wait, let me finish. I know you will not like this, but let me finish. They did not murder children. They did not burn women. They did not kill intentionally. However, someone muted me. Okay, thank you guys. It was a good talking to you. Peace out. Pasta will be free.
Palestine, yes, it will be free of Hamas, probably.
No,
Oh my God.
the whole land.
So again, who killed 1,200 people? You're not answering that question.
I will not answer the question if you keep.
Because you know the answer. Because you're a liar and you know the answer.
I will
That's
not
the
answer
problem.
the question because they don't.
Because you
It's
know the answer.
hard for them. It's hard for.
Hard for who? For poor Hamas militants?
Okay, I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled programming. And I'm going to play whatever I want. I've hijacked the room just like Hamas. They hijack every conversation. They hijack your life. Let them all go where they belong, in the grave.
Adrian, he also removes comments.
I know.
I know.
I'm Hamasing the room.
Well, he wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer
I know.
either.
I'm saving the Jewish people on Clown
Yeah,
House
but
live. That's okay. There will be some who will not. Cole Normus, overflowvalley.com.